Those who qualify in the prelim exam, they later on appear in the mains examination where their subjective knowledge is tested on various subjects, not on his own paper only. However, tests or interviews are not subjective tests where the information base or the general knowledge of the candidate is tested. While you count from 1 to 10, you get some scope to rethink about the issue and have a critical thinking about the issue and find out a solution. In our times, all the members were giving individual marks and ultimately they were summed up. But nowadays, the decisions are taken in consensus. All the members, they come to a decision about your abilities, your disabilities, and they give you marks in consensus. I welcome all the aspirants to OPSC and UPSC examination to this special talk show of Academy of Civil Services. In our last episode, we had discussed about aptitude for the civil services. If a person with the right aptitude enters the service, he will definitely sign in the service and do his best in the service and give his best output. So, what is most important is aptitude. कहबार उद्देश्य वाला जड़े उपयुक्त मनोभाव संपन्न लोक जदि सिविल सर्विस रे एंट्री करे तेबे से निश्चित भाव में बहुत किसी चमत्कारी जिनस करि परिबो ता चाकरी काल भितर एवं ही कैन बी इन पब्लिक मेमोरी फॉर ए लॉन्ग टाइम. So what is aptitude? We had discussed in the last episode. Basically, in the interview, not even interview, even during general studies in the preliminary examination paper 2, emphasis is given to find out the best aptitude in the aspirants. को मानकर पिला मानक भितर किभली भाव रीजनिंग पावर अच्छी किभली तांकर क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग पावर अच्छी किभली भाव में तांकर पर्सनालिटी विल बी सुटेड टू पब्लिक सर्विसेस ये सब जिनस को से जज करने रीजनिंग एंड लॉजिकल टेस्ट्स गुड़े रखा जाता है जनरल स्टडीज पेपर 2 रे. दोज हु क्वालिफाई इन द prelim exam, they later on appear in the mains examination where their subjective knowledge is tested on various subjects, not on his own paper only, on various subjects which start from economics to Constitution of India to international relations to different hobbies, different kinds of knowledge about agriculture, veterinary, even music, drawing, painting, different kind of things. It is attempted to see whether a person has wide variety of interests in various subjects or he is only a bookworm. So, after he qualifies the main examination, then comes the viva voce test or the interview, where again the personality of the candidate is judged. Viva voce tests or interviews are not subjective tests where the information base or the general knowledge of the candidate is tested. It is basically aims at measuring the personality of the person, his overall general knowledge, his mental and personal ability, which you can say otherwise the right aptitude. So basically we are going to discuss about that in this particular session. In interviews are an integral part of UPSC or OPSC examination. Those who have already appeared, they might have come across it, and those who are yet to appear in the examinations, they should know that in UPSC examination, interview carries 270 marks, and in OPSC examination, it carries 250 marks, and in UPSC 275 marks it carries. So it is just not to check one's knowledge and information base, as I have already told it. It tries to check the skill sets of different candidates, how they handle people, how they react to different situations, how they manage their cool, how they critically think about issues. These things are skill sets are examined. Similarly, his general knowledge about various subjects. It starts from Himalayas to it goes to oceans. And different subjects. Sometimes they ask you about the books you read. Sometimes they ask you about the music you last heard. Sometimes they want to know what places you have visited and how you have enjoyed all these things. These are basically relates to general knowledge about various subjects. And the overall personality of the candidate is also measured. Whether he reacts, how he reacts to a particular kind of situation, that is examined. How he maintains his coolness, how he maintains when he becomes aggressive, when he becomes overstating. All these things are examined in the personality. Overall personality is judged. Similarly, the mental and personal suitability or aptitude of the particular person to that job, that is also examined. So, to measure all these things, they put different kinds of questions. There are different patterns of questions which they normally put at the candidates to measure all these things. So, before you go to interview, be it UPSC or OPSC, you have to maintain certain basic preparedness. For example, most of the ODI people, ODI students, they are good at writing. But while coming to interview, facing an interview, they normally fail because our people sometimes they are not exposed to English medium schools. Those who are in the English medium schools, they can somehow manage. But people who have graduated from government schools or primary schools, who come from rural backgrounds, they find it difficult while facing interviews. So, go to face the interview with full confidence. Do sufficient homework before going to the interview and have a full confidence in yourself. If you have sufficient confidence in your own capacity and capabilities, then perhaps you can tide over any kind of difficult situation you come across during the interview. Similarly, while going to interviews, it is sometimes seen the candidates, the aspirants, they come with very funky kind of dresses, very colorful dresses, which do not is not liked by the interviewer sometimes. So, your dressing sense should be very proper, polite. It's not politic, it's polite. So, it should be very polite and gentle. It should be very soothing to the eyes. Dressing sense should be proper. If it is summer, you should not unnecessarily put on a coat. It is not necessary that you should always put on a coat. Maybe if it is winter, you can do it. But if it is summer, it is not necessary that you should put on a coat. You should go in normal shirts, trousers, whatever you usually wear. You will be more comfortable in those kind of dresses. Third thing is, while facing the interview board, sometimes the interviewers put very critical questions, very tricky questions. Don't try to bluff if you are not aware about the answer. You can make an intelligent guess, but you should be very honest and do not try to bluff, because the people who are sitting on the other side of the table, they are more intelligent than you, and perhaps sometimes they put a trap to catch you red-handed, whether you are trying to bluff or not. Similarly, don't try to overtake the board, because they are more intelligent than you. I have already told you. They sometimes irritate you. They put very questions, such type of questions, which will expose you in some way. So, don't try to overreact to any of the questions. While entering the room, always greet the board with proper respect. Sometimes some people come directly to the table and extend their hands to shake hands. That is not expected. You can just say, "Hi, good morning, sirs," like that. And during the interview, always try to make a point that you are special. You have to show that you are special and discuss the matters in such a way that it will leave a mark in the minds of the interviewers. In our times, all the members were giving individual marks and ultimately they were summed up. But nowadays, the decisions are taken in consensus. All the members, they come to a decision about your abilities, your disabilities, and they give you marks in consensus. So after you leave the interview hall, they will decide how many marks they will give you. So during your interview, you have the chance to make a mark, so that after you leave, they will remember the most characteristic thing about you, and they will give their marks accordingly. Now, I have already told you, there are some stereotype questions which are put to test the personality or the aptitude of candidates. Apart from subjective matters, they are very tricky questions sometimes, which are usually put. I'm trying to expose you to some kind of similar kind of questions. For example, sometimes they ask, are you applying for this job only, or trying to also appear in other examinations? You have to be honest in this question. It is usual that most of the candidates apply for different jobs, because job market is so scarce that you cannot afford to just apply for one job and ignore all others. You have to, normally the candidates apply for different jobs, but don't try to conceal it. They will never think that this is not in your focus. This was not in your focus. By applying different jobs, they will never mean that this is not in your focus. It is always in your focus. You have to behave in such a way that they will feel that you are best suited for whatever job you are given. You can also make a statement that wherever I go, if I get into bank, if I get into civil service, if I get into any other job, then I will put in my best to do the job. So that kind of answer you can give. So you don't have to conceal anything. Similarly, another question is normally asked, why you have selected this job? There are a lot of jobs in this earth, and why did you choose OPSC or this job? I'll tell you a very nice anecdote about this. While we were taking training in our civil services, one of our batchmates, he used to make overstatements. So the trainer was a very senior bureaucrat of our times. He asked all the students to stand up and say in one word, what prompted them to join this job, join civil services. That particular friend of mine, he told, sir, I hail from a tribal district. I have seen the plight of tribal people, how they live in hunger, how they live in different kinds of backwardness. So that prompted me to come to civil services to change their fate. The trainer, who was a very senior and seasoned officer, he laughed at him and said, Mr. Gentleman, you are not a good Samaritan. You will be paid for this job. So don't try to befool me by saying that you are trying to change the fate of some other person. First, you have the capacity to change your own fate. So this overstatement invited such a kind of situation for him. He said, if you had to change the fate of these tribal people or backward people, you could have very well joined NGO. You could have done something else to change their fate. Have you started doing anything about to change their fate? Only after joining this job, you will be able to change their fate. My friend was clueless. He didn't have any answers. So I mean to say that he was caught while making an overstatement. So if they ask you, why did you choose this job? You can preferably say, civil service is one such service which gives ample opportunity to work in different areas and different spheres. So that always gives you new experiences, that saves you from monotony of doing similar jobs, routine jobs every time. Suppose you are an engineer, suppose you are a doctor, you are doing the same thing from the beginning of your career till the end of your career. But civil service is one such area where you get different types of postings, different types of departments. You work in health department, you work in civil service, you work in home department dealing with police, you deal with educational institutions, you deal with steel and mines, you deal with fertilizer, different kinds of subjects you come to know, different kind of experiences you know, that enriches you, that broadens your knowledge base, and ultimately you get lot of opportunities to visit different places, come across different kind of people, and it makes your personality a fully balanced personality, apart from giving you all the economic, financial security and all other privileges in the job. So there is no harm in saying that you have selected this job for your financial security as well as for all these things which I narrated in the preceding lines. And another third question which normally comes is, what can you offer what others cannot? They can put it in another way. Why do you think you are specially suited for this job? So here you need not have to badmouth other candidates. You have to only focus on the special qualities which you have, which will help you in being successful in this job. Suppose you have a knack of resolving issues. Suppose you have a knack of conducting some kind of adventure, some kind of different exercises which will be helpful for this job. You can narrate those things, but instead of telling something against other candidates, you can rightly say why you are the best for this purpose. Sometimes some aspirants or candidates appear in the interview who are already in job in some private agency or company or different other agencies of the government. Here we have seen sometimes interviewers ask, describe what are the best qualities which your ex-boss liked about you. It's an intelligent way of asking you to tell your strengths. So you can politely say, if you have a background of honesty, if you have a background of sincerity, if you have a background of punctuality, you can tell all these things. What the suppose you came fast to the office and left the office in the last, and that was liked by your ex-boss. You can narrate those things. Suppose in the office you took special interest and ownership to solve certain issues and find out solutions, and that was liked by your ex-boss. That's why your boss always depended on you. You can narrate all these things. As a clue to this question, sometimes the interviewer may also ask you, narrate a story where you last stepped in or took initiative to solve a problem in your family or in the office. You have to come up with a story where you solved the issue. Suppose you are in an office and some hooligan enters into your office and attacks a friend of you or a colleague of you, and how you handled that situation, how you resolved the conflict, how you solved the issue, and the issue was managed respectively. That you can narrate also. Sometimes they also ask, how do you react in pressure or problem? Pressures and problems are very integral part of any civil services. Nowadays it has become a part of almost all jobs. Even if you are in bank, even if you are in any other service, this kind of pressures and problems are coming up. Sometimes the pressure comes from within the office, sometimes it comes from outside the office, sometimes there is a conflict between family and office. This kind of issues, how do you handle? By this, they will try to find out How do you think critically? How do you organize your time and resources? How do you manage conflicting situations? So you can politely say, whenever you are confronted with some critical issue or problem, you calm yourself. You can say that you calm yourself by taking a bath, by listening to some kind of music, right? By dissociating from those kind of disgusting situations and take a break, then identify the issue perfectly, think critically how the issue can be solved, and then only you take decisions. These are the very, sometimes it is said when you are faced with a difficult, don't take any decisions in haste. You have to count 1 to 10. While you count from 1 to 10, you get some scope to rethink about the issue and have a critical thinking about the issue and find out a solution. So whenever you are, you can say, whenever I face a kind of pressure or problem situation, I maintain my calmness, count from 1 to 10, then take a decision within that time. Another question is what time you made a hard ethical decision and why. Ethical decisions most of the times come in the way of your working in civil services. I will also narrate you a story. One IAS professor was taking training under me. After getting into IAS, lot of good proposals come for marriage. That boy hailed from a very modest family, very middle class family. But after he got IAS, he had affairs with a girl which whom she had committed to marry. But after one gets IAS, lot of good proposals come, lot of very lucrative proposals also come for marriage. And in his batch, 3-4 officers were taking training, and most of them got similar kind of proposals. And he was also offered a proposal where his proposed in-laws offered him a good patch of land in Mumbai, a Mercedes car, and 4 crores of cash. It was a very critical decision for him because all his friends had already succumbed to that. And he was in a difficult situation, whether to choose his lady love or whether to choose all these lucrative proposals. He came to me and said, "Sir, I am in a very difficult situation. What to do?" My father said, "My parents are going for something. I have something in my mind. Where to?" I told him, "You go what your mind tells you to do. What your heart allows you to do, that you do." That is the situation of an ethical decision. Ultimately, he decided to marry that girl and forgo all these lucrative proposals. He से जो मैरेज पे तार जो प्रपोजल आसीथिला 4 कोटी टंका जो मर्सिडीज कार सब को छाड़ी से झियो की से बाहर दैट वाज a very hard and critical decision, ethical decision. That's why I loved that guy who took training for me under me for almost a year, and by this time now he is a collector. So that kind of situation must have come in everybody's life. May not be in this area, maybe in some other area also. So you can narrate those decisions, and you have to explain why it was a hard decision for you. In the face of such a difficult situation, how you could take a decision. Sometimes they ask you, are you a learner? Do you believe in learning, or still you believe that you are a master of your own subject? You can never boast. You can never say that you are a master of anything, because I said from the beginning, they are more intelligent people than you, and perhaps they have set some trap to catch you. So in that case, you can politely say, I am a learner. They may ask you, how do you learn? You can say, I read lot of books. I see lot of documentaries, films. Sometimes you can say, I watch videos. Sometimes you can say, I listen to lot of recent podcasts. I go through, visit different places. I interact with lot of people every day to learn something from all of these kind of people. But if you say, I don't like mixing with people, I don't like visiting places, I don't like people coming to me, then it will be a negative kind of thing for you. Another question is, sometimes they ask you, how do you balance between your workplace and normal life? It's a very difficult thing in the life of a civil servant, because sometimes you don't have sufficient time for your family. Sometimes in the trap of family, you don't give sufficient time for your office. So if you do more justice to the office, your family life is neglected. If you do more fascination for your family, then your office works are neglected. So you have to make a perfect balance between two. So how this thing is done? You can say you have lot of healthy habits like doing yoga to reduce your stress. You can say by reading books, by witnessing movies, you balance you spending time with your family. That will never, by this, the interviewers will never feel that you are a slacker. You will have to say all these things so that you are making a balance between the two. Because if you don't spend time with your family, then they will be grudging against you. You cannot stretch yourself fully for the office job. So by trying to make a point that you are very workaholic, perhaps you will not be able to satisfy the interviewers, because all work and no play makes a jacket dull boy. That already everybody knows. So if you are trying to say that I am only a workman and I will give full time, 100% time to the job, then you are making an overstatement and you are hypocritic. So there will be caught. It is always better to say that amid a lot of office work and pressure of work, I have different avenues to unwind myself, so that by unwinding I will be more recharged to do more justice to my job. That how you can balance both the things. Sometimes they ask you, if you join this job, what will be your priorities? In civil service, there are so many areas where you can serve. You can find out one or two areas where you can excel. Suppose you can say Indian education system is poor, you will give more focus to education. Then they may ask, why education? And what changes you can make in it. Suppose you can say, I will try to revamp the situation of public distribution system. You can say, I will try to change the fate of farmers in this country. You can say, social justice system in the country needs to be improved. So in each case, you have to have your own plan, a brief blueprint, how you are going to do all these things. So before going to face the interview board, you have to well research about the priorities, your priorities, and how you will do it. Maybe in some other areas, if you have any interest, you have to well rehearse it and face the interview board. Sometimes they ask very silly questions like, how do you spend your day? They just want to know how many times, how long you sleep, or how long you gossip, or how long you, what is your priority in a daily life. So don't, if such a kind of question comes in, don't try to overstate the mundane things like I got up, I brush my teeth, I go to my toilet. Don't tell all these things. Only tell those things which make your day, which mark your day. Suppose you read the newspapers. I read 5, 7, 10 newspapers in the morning. Then I go to office, or if I don't have any where to go to office, then I sit in my studies and read these kind of books for my interview, these kind of books or studies for my main subject, or sometimes in between I try to unwind and read some novels. They may ask you, what kind of novels did you read last? They may ask you, what kind of books do you like? What kind of musics do you like? If you say, I love sitar, then they may ask you, who is the master of sitar? If you say, I love santur, they may ask you, who is the master of santur? Something you have to research well on these kind of subjects. So basically these type of questions are put. Sometimes you may feel that these are very silly questions. These are not subjective questions. They didn't ask me anything about my subject, my area of specialization. But they are not exactly going to test your knowledge. How much you read in political science, or how much you read in mathematics, or how much you read in physics. That is not their purpose to measure. Their purpose is to measure how well you are suited for this job, how well you can mix with people, how well you can execute the plans and programs of government and make it useful for the public. So it is your personality which matters to them, and your personality should be conducted in, it should be conducted in such a way that after you leave the interview hall, it makes a mark and they remember you for after your departure also. So these are basic tips. We'll make similar kind of classes in future also, and some more, some other friends of mine, they will be joining very shortly. They will expose you to more kind of such type questions which normally come in the interview board. Some members of our team who have already worked in different service commissions, Odisha Public Service Commission and other commissions in different interview boards, they will be giving you exposure to more such type of questions. So again, before leaving, I will emphasize that it is the aptitude that matters till the end. So you have to show the right kind of temperament, right kind of aptitude, right kind of personality before the interview board to come out successful. Again, wish you all the best. Thank you.